Hello, this is Roy Bennett with Team Locust. This is my video walkthrough. So this week you see that I created that splash screen kind of just to celebrate all the hard work that we did these past few months. It doesn't really have any functionality right now. It's kind of just there to be like a statement piece. Otherwise, the rest of the work I've done this week was just iterate upon my tutorial level, primarily identifying any bugs that may have been missed over the past couple of weeks. I found a couple, like probably at least a dozen, that I was able to identify, fix, and kind of definitely improve on the function, the overall flow of the game. It seemed like there were some issues with the colliders and trigger events that the player could reactivate if they walk back into the same exact location numerous times. So I think this level is completely done. There hasn't been any other issues that I was able to in this level trigger. So I'm not going to play through this anymore. There was other work that I did this week alongside with the splash screen and iterating upon the main menu screen that you see here now. It's more fleshed out of a design, giving a much better mood. So what we're also working on now, and what I'll be working on next week, is this village level that will be acting as a level hub, connecting all of our teammates' dungeons. The game will start here, and as you can see, we kind of have a rough layout of like the town and everything else. This is the player's house. If he enters, a scripted functionality that the roof detaches and you can actually see inside. We'll decorate all that and set dress it later. But yeah, then you leave the building and then the roof pops back on. There's little NPCs running around right now. We're going to try and script functionality that you can click on them, talk to them, have like little narrative pieces there. But this will act as the primary space of interaction that the player will be returning each time they visit a dungeon and complete a dungeon, coming back here. And
and I want to show you what I've been working on this week. I've been creating a new level called the Shadow Dungeon. It is going to be the final level of the game. So we'll go ahead and jump right in. Some of the main things I've been working on, and I continued work on the elementals. Each one of them now actually has a side effect. So if the fire hits an ice, or if the fire hits anything other than fire, it will actually it'll catch them on fire and damage them. The ice, if it hits anything other than ice, it will freeze them in place. Earth, it will stun them. And wind, it will push them back indefinitely. If a fire hits a fire, it will actually heal them, but not do any damage. So now you actually have to choose which projectile you want to use on whichever enemy, and so on. Something else I worked on is created a random spawner, so as I move forward, random enemies will be spawned in front of me that I'll be able to deal with. And every time I run into that trigger, I can spawn another enemy to play with. So let's go ahead and get started. As you can see, I just caught them on fire. I do not have the damage over time effect working yet, but it will do initial damage. Ice, it will freeze them in place. Earth, it will actually hit them with a rock and make them go dizzy. And wind will actually push them back, assuming they're not dizzy. Of course, he's a wind creature, so he is actually immune to it. Alright, we'll go and jump across here real quick. Use the wind on him. As you can see, it'll actually continue to push him back. Something else I've also been working on is the ability to manipulate objects with these to help with the setups a little bit. So that was a block that could be pushed over by wind only. It's a new shadow minion I've been working on. And this is an ice block that can be melted by fire only, causing the object above it to fall down and become a ramp. Then up here is a river that it is not actually working yet, but it will be shortly this week. Basically, you'll be able to take the ice projectile, hit the waterfall with it. It'll freeze the river for a short amount of time, giving you time to cross over it. If you do not cross over it in time, unfortunately, it will melt and become a river again, and you will fall in and die. I hope y'all enjoyed. I enjoyed working on this week, and look forward to bringing some new upgrades the following week. Have a great day.
Hello, changes made to the ice dungeon have been baking the light, so everything now kind of, well, it's a bit darker, and then shadows are appearing, and then the new dialogue system has been integrated along with adding the NPC friend. So as we kill these enemies, oops, and you actually need to unlock the fire elements before you get through to this level. So let's continue forward, and I have actually blocked off this area so it forces you to the right. And once you trigger this dialogue up here, it'll tell you need a component for this area right here, a missing lever. So as we go back, this now appears and you can go this way. I've also fixed the issue with being... you get blocked in with the boss. And he'll actually turn to face you now and try to attack you. Right now he's defending himself. Almost there. And then, once again, as that unlocks, so there's that, and then you just leave the level.
Hello, my name is Joseph Cavazos, and I am going to do the walkthrough for the fire level. So I added the portal when you first come in, and then I updated to the new dialogue system that you can see right there, and then added some of these spawns for the player doesn't really get overwhelmed all at once when I had a bunch of different ones, and then I added that little animation right there for the door, and you can tell I added some things the player has to get around more. Obstacles. Another thing that I added over here was the dialogue. I changed it to the new one right there. Whip out to the rocks to go look at the rocks. The wisp like talks to the player. Another thing that I changed up was right here. I added this little area for the player, so you could explore more than just instead of just going and walk in a straight line. And then let's go over here. Added that little animation right there. I edited it, and then as you can tell, I changed the block out more, so it kind of goes with the map a little more better. Then one thing that I also changed and added was right up here are these particle systems that the player has to try to get past. And if they don't get past it, then they'll get damage. Then I changed these guys right here to be blocking the boss's dungeon, and then once you get in, the boss is gonna be standing right in the middle.
Josephine Dolan, and this week I've been raising a lot on my wind dungeon that I had made in the previous class. Before it was just this section, but I've added quite a bit since then, including the dialogue. Now this part will go pretty fast because it's stuff I already did last month. Okay, so here's where the new stuff begins. Now there are enemies. In fact, there aren't just enemies, there are breakable spawners, which is something that I had implemented previously and then kind of took out because we weren't using them anymore, but now I have re-implemented them so they didn't go to waste. And so what the player has to do is defeat the enemies and break the two spawners from which the enemies are spawning to prevent more from spawning. After that is done, they will come to a giant river, which for some reason did not show in the build. That's what Duncan and the Wisp were talking about, was how there was a river and they couldn't swim, so they must summon the ice elemental to freeze it for them and cross safely. Now they've come across the boss room, where they must simply defeat the boss, collect his drop, and go through the portal into the next level.